as well as Salifu Kamara. Um, just for our audience members, one of our panelists in that panel discussion will be a discussant entirely in French. So I do recommend that if you're not fluent in French, please do get yourself a translator earpiece. I will ask our team of technical staff to circulate translators for everyone in the room that needs one. So when you need one, before we start that panel, I'll just ask you to raise your hand so that we can get that going. I hope everyone is good with that. And yeah, I'd like to welcome onto the platform our discussant, which is Mikhail Chudakov, who will be leading us in a keynote presentation. Let's give it up for Mikhail.
Excellencies, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. And the topic is not exactly about the nuclear power, but because I'm the Deputy Director General and the Head of Department of Nuclear Power, I'll be talking about the nuclear power. It is a great honor to speak before you here at African Energy Week 2024. This conference has become central to discussions on Africa's energy future and the role nuclear power can play in transforming it, a subject close to my heart and essential to our shared mission. Across the globe, humanity is grappling with challenges as formidable as their variety: climate change, energy access and security, and sustainable development, just to name a few. Here in Africa, these challenges can feel especially pressing. Nearly 600 million people lack access to reliable electricity, a gap that underscores the urgent need for new, sustainable energy sources to power development and uplift communities. Energy, as we all know, is fundamental. It is the lifeblood that powers our homes, industries, and infrastructure. It moves people, enables learning, and drives economics. But as our need for energy grows, so do the environmental cost of traditional energy sources. The consequences are plain to see. Wildfires, floods, droughts, and other extreme weather events are reminders that our climate too is in crisis. The need is not only for energy, but for an abundance of clean, sustainable energy that supports our climate goals and keeps our economies humming along 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. This is where nuclear power can make an unparalleled contribution. Nuclear energy provides clean, reliable, and sustainable power around the clock. It can be a perfect partner for variable renewables like solar and wind, providing the backbone of a modern, stable, and resilient electrical grid. Yet nuclear is also about more than electricity. It supports decarbonization in other sectors, like industrial processes, transportation, and even the production of low-carbon hydrogen, critical for our future energy needs. Ladies and gentlemen, today 415 nuclear reactors are in operation globally, contributing around 375 gigawatts of installed capacity. That's roughly 10% of the world's electricity and a quarter of its low-carbon power. Such contributions are significant, but the world is sending a new message about nuclear power, and that message is we need a lot more of it, and fast. Globally, the momentum for nuclear power is building. Last year, in the global stock take at COP28 in Dubai, nuclear power made history when 198 countries called for its accelerated deployment along with other low-carbon energy sources to achieve deep and rapid decarbonization. In addition, more than 20 countries jointly committed to an aspirational goal of tripling global nuclear capacity by 2050, a landmark move and a clear recognition of nuclear energy's role in decarbonizing our future while providing the foundation for a reliable, resilient energy system. Reflecting these new global ambitions, the IAEA in September revised up its annual projection for the expansion of nuclear power for a fourth successive year. In the high-case scenario of our new outlook, nuclear electrical generating capacity is projected to increase to 950 gigawatts by 2050. In this case, global capacity in 2050 would be slightly more than 2.5 times what it was in 2023. In the low-case projection, capacity rises 40% to 515 gigawatts. And small modular reactors, or SMRs, account for about 1/4 of the capacity added in the high case and for 6% in the low case scenario. Dear colleagues, the time for nuclear power is now, and that very much includes Africa. Here in South Africa, nuclear power provides almost 2 gigawatts of installed electrical capacity. That's nuclear power plant Coburg. But in the IAEA high-case scenario, nuclear power will account for 24 gigawatts of installed capacity by 2050. And even in our low-case scenario, we see capacity rising 5-fold over the next 2 decades to 10 gigawatts. You can tell that's impossible, but remember that China for 30 years constructed 56 units and 60 gigawatt installed capacity. So it's possible. Of course, we are not soothsayers. We cannot predict the future, but our projections are based on deep analysis and study of national nuclear plans. They reflect the empirical reality on the ground in the countries, in all regions of the world. And what is that reality? Today, 63 reactors totaling more than 66 gigawatts electric of installed capacity are under construction in 15 countries. Among them is Egypt, right here on this continent, which is making good progress in the construction of 4 new reactors, totaling 4,400 gigawatts. 4.4 gigawatts, this mistake, 4,400 megawatts, of course. When the first of these reactors goes online, Egypt will join South Africa and the continent as the continent's sole operators of nuclear power. But we all know Africa is ready for more nuclear power, with several countries here already hard at work for several years in laying the groundwork for nuclear power. Why the pursuing nuclear power should be obvious to all. 30 years ago, the average person in Africa used more electricity than the average person in India or Southeast Asia. But since then, both India and Southeast Asia have seen huge spikes in electricity demand and supply, driven by rapid economic growth that has reshaped these regions at an impressive rate. In 2023, though, Africa's per person electricity use was only half of India's and 70% less than Southeast Asia's. The question for Africa then is how to provide massive amounts of new electrical capacity to keep up with the growing population. If it can thread this needle, then Africa will not only raise millions of people out of poverty and achieve new levels of development. It will also help the planet mitigate the threat of climate change, provided, of course, that nuclear power is a cornerstone of its future energy system. Esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, nuclear power is a complex undertaking. It requires a national commitment of around 100 years. It also requires international cooperation and support in order to be done safely, securely, and as efficiently as possible. Here at the IAEA, we are deeply committed to supporting African nations on their nuclear power journey by helping them to develop the necessary infrastructure for safe, secure, and sustainable nuclear power. Our support is structured around a milestone approach, which covered the comprehensive infrastructure needed for a nuclear program, from regulatory frameworks to human resources, safety standards, and stakeholder engagement. Through our integrated nuclear infrastructure review or INIR missions, we provide countries with an in-depth assessment of their preparedness for nuclear power. To date, we have conducted INIR missions across Africa in countries including Ghana, Egypt, Kenya, Morocco, Niger, Nigeria, South Africa, Sudan, and Uganda, to support their readiness and guide them in this transformative journey. To be sure, many of these countries have options in nuclear power that I could never have imagined 40 years ago when I was first starting out in this industry as a plant operator. Innovation is the name of the game today, and small modular reactors, or SMRs, will soon provide countries around the world with a variety of new options for using nuclear power in remote areas, in regions with small electric grids, and for non-power applications such as process heat for industry, clean hydrogen, and seawater desalination. Just last month at the IAEA, our first international conference on SMRs and their application brought in 1,300 participants from nearly 100 countries. This is a testament to the interest and excitement that SMRs and advanced reactors are generating in countries around the world, African countries included, and maybe even first among them. But to realize this vision, we must level the financial playing field. While some countries may benefit from government-to-government loans or similar types of support, financing generally remains a hurdle. At COP28 and elsewhere, we have called on international financial institutions, including development banks, to include nuclear in their lending portfolios, a vital step if we are to meet the world's rising energy demands and climate goals. Meanwhile, Africa's future workforce will be the key to its nuclear success. The IAEA is committed to supporting member states develop the necessary skills and human resources for nuclear power through training, workshops, and programs like our Nuclear Energy Management School and other initiatives. In particular, we are empowering women to be part of the future nuclear expansion through our Marie Skłodowska-Curie Fellowship Program, which has awarded master's degree scholarship up to 560 women, with 143 of them coming from African countries. Ladies and gentlemen, in a world beset by innumerable challenges, nuclear power offers a concrete solution now and for our collective future. At the IAEA, we stand ready to support every country that here today on the path to a sustainable nuclear future. Together, we have the tools, the knowledge, and the shared commitment to enable Africa's energy and developmental transformation. I wish you all a successful and enjoyable conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Mikhail. Appreciate it. Thank you very much to Mikhail Chudakov, who's the Deputy Director for